Hello.
Hey.
Week
Oh my
14.
goodness. How did it get this far so fast?
I don't know. It's the last week of buys, and there's six teams on
Hmm.
buy.
Oh, short week.
And I'm trying to make my fantasy playoffs, and
Mhm.
I need a lot of help. And having a bunch of my guys not playing doesn't help.
No,
And I'm not really,
not
my
great.
opponent doesn't really have a lot of guys on buy, so I didn't,
Uh,
not looking good for me this year. It
not a good situation to be in. Mm-mm.
might be the first time I don't make the playoffs in this league, and I've been in it for like 10 years. So, oh well.
Wow.
Things happen. All right,
True. Comes for us all.
let's go over
Let's
last
do it.
week's picks. Josh had a 3-2 week,
Oh, look at me go.
and I was 2-2, just kind of
Wow.
getting juiced.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go
Okay.
through them.
Let's
So
do
I
it.
had the Dolphins for 3 stars, and they did not come close.
Mm.
However, I always like to make excuses. We'll call them excuses, or maybe good reasons, or not so good reasons. So if any of you watched that game, the opening drive, I think the Dolphins made the Packers go three and out or made them punt very quickly. And then they muffed the punt at their own 10. So if the Dolphins don't muff that punt,
Mhm.
yeah, they basically gave the Packers a touchdown. And then I don't know, they scored a few points in the first half and kind of kept it close, but it just changed the whole complexion of the game. You stop them, you
Mhm.
know you're getting the ball in the second half. If you can have like a drive, that game could have been 3-0 Dolphins, 7-0 Dolphins. Instead, it was 7-0 Green Bay, and it was just like I don't know. I really thought the Dolphins were going to compete, but when you get behind the eight ball, like
What are you gonna do?
like that's why football's so tough, because turnovers can just completely change the complexion of a game.
Yeah, the difference between two teams is largely driven by turnover, right? Turnover margin.
Yeah, and like basketball, for example, right? If I turn it over under my own hoop, okay, they get 2 points, right? That's what one. That's like 3% of the points they score in a game. If you turn it
It's
over
gonna
on
make
your
it up.
own five in football, they get seven, and sometimes teams don't even score that in a whole game. So
Nope.
it's it is what it is. But
Hmm.
I'll just call it me making excuses. The next pick we had, you had a heyday on your. I don't know if these were like some of the noon games, some of the early afternoon games,
Inspired.
but so you got the Patriots. They lost by two or one. They lost by one. The Colts went
Hmm.
for two to win.
Yep. Yep.
So you got that.
Yep.
So if any of you are thinking, oh, they're minus 2.5, like, of course, if they win, they're going to win
Mhm.
by a field goal. Well,
Yeah,
there's so many times with 2 point conversions and all that that teams win by one or two, or they go for it at the end of the game and they're not going to win by three. They're
that's
going to
right.
win by one.
Or missed PATs. I feel like that's been a big issue this year. Just
Justin Tucker
yeah.
is
Oh my God.
not even a professional
Ooh.
kicker anymore.
Oh man, he's really fallen off a cliff. Sorry for the. I mean, you can't pin everything that's going on with the Ravens on Justin Tucker, and they're 8-5. But man, not
So
reliable.
have you seen these AI generated press conferences with people
Where
where,
they redub the. Yes, I have.
and they're
Yes.
like they look very real,
Yep.
but obviously like Lamar Jackson saying like that MFer needs to make some effing kicks and like saying all this goofy
Speaking
stuff.
for the city of Baltimore.
And I know there's people out there who think that that's legitimate, but it is funny.
Yes.
But
Dangerous and scary world we're about to enter.
definitely.
Mm.
Okay. You also had the Chargers.
Mm.
Oh, I liked that, but I didn't have a pick on it,
Mm.
apparently. I thought I did. Okay.
No.
So you got the Chargers for 1 star. You hit that one.
Yeah.
Cousins threw 4 picks.
Yeah, what did Bill Simmons say? He almost went the full on Delhomme.
Jake Delhomme.
Oh man.
I didn't. So I was driving all day Sunday, but we were listening to a lot of stuff on the radio.
Yeah.
So I was catching snippets of that one. I just like if he throws 2 picks, they probably win. And I think Koo missed a short
Yeah.
field goal, they said.
Hmm.
But man, the Falcons are just like the Bucks are gonna
The
win that division.
they have to be kicking themselves though, the Bucks. They lost both games to the Falcons, and one of which they were winning with like 2 minutes left in the fourth. It's they have to be just Oh my God. But
Well,
I agree. I think they will win that division. Their schedules, I was looking at it. The Bucks have a really easy ride the last 4 or 5 weeks.
well, they should. They played. There was a 3 game stretch where they played like I don't know, three of the top 10 teams in the NFL without. Well, obviously Godwin's done for the year, but Evans was out with his hamstring for like at least 2 of those games. So they got to be feeling pretty good about where they're at,
Well,
all
think
things
about
considered.
yeah, but think about who the Bucks have beaten this year. They've beaten the Lions and they've beaten the
In
Eagles.
Detroit, yeah.
Yeah, and the Eagles. So they've beaten the 2 best teams in the conference. I mean, I don't know. And they've had those injuries. I don't want to say like watch out for the Bucks Super Bowl contenders, but I'm not sure I'd want to play them in the first round of the playoffs if they make it.
Yeah. Well, didn't the Bears just beat the Lions at the Lion? Never mind. We'll get to that.
Oh, that was good, dude. Oh, wow.
All right. So the next correct pick by you was the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So that was a very weird game. I
Weird
was
game.
listening to it on the radio. The Jets were up 21-7
Mm-hmm.
in like the second quarter. And then the Seahawks won 26-21. They had a pick six by like a interior lineman, or maybe it was a defensive end, like a 95-yard pick six.
Yeah.
That's a tale of like a team that doesn't want to win against a team that finds a way to win that maybe isn't that great. But
It's just was a weird line too. The Jets have not been good, and the Seahawks are. I mean, coming into this game, they were division leading, so it's weird. Playoff bound Seahawks, pretty much.
yeah,
Odd
and
line.
the Jets are sticking with Rodgers.
Who else is on that roster?
Well, I don't know, but like you should maybe try to see if your second or third stringer
Yeah.
is somewhat competent, because teams have found quarterbacks they didn't think were very good. Actually, when they get in a game,
It's
they
true.
actually have it figured out a little bit, but I don't know. Rodgers needs his stats, his interception stats, apparently. Okay, so you got 3 in a row there.
Yeah.
We were opposite Saints Rams. I had the Rams. You had the Saints. That was a very close game, most of the way, kind of back and forth. The
Yeah.
Rams got it, so I got that one.
Mm-hmm.
You had the Bucks by 6, and that one was all over the place.
yeah.
Like they were
Carolina.
up by more than 6 for a little
Yeah.
while, and then Carolina just is going to be frisky the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Apparently, like
Yeah.
they should have probably won the game. Baker had to
100%.
drive them down with 30
Mhm.
seconds left to tie with a 50-yard field goal to go
Yeah.
into overtime. So Bucks win but don't cover there. I liked the Ravens for 2 stars, and they got destroyed. They were ahead 9-0.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's this whole thing about the Eagles suck in the first quarter, and then they just score 1,000,000 points the rest of the game, like every week.
Mm-hmm.
So the Ravens were up 9-0. Should have been 10. Tucker missed an extra point. And then the Eagles started scoring pretty much every possession, or not necessarily. The game was stalled on like 14-12 for a while, but Tucker missed at least 2 field goals and an extra point, when like if he would have made a couple of those, it would have kept him in the game. Pretty soon the Ravens are down 2 touchdowns, and they scored with like 3 seconds left to make it a 6-point game or something like that. But it's crazy. Like I didn't realize until listening to that game that Tucker had been bad like the last few weeks.
Mhm.
And he's like they said every kick he had missed up until a certain point on Sunday was wide left. And then the last one he missed was wide right. So he's finally making an adjustment, but over adjusting. I can't
like me at
imagine.
golf.
Yeah, like the mental side of kicking is just, I've heard, is just
Yeah.
brutal.
I mean,
But-
he's been at the top of it for so long. I mean, you would expect to see a decline, but like I don't remember Adam Vinatieri like being this bad,
No,
right? Towards the end of his career.
he was just consistent.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever
Yeah.
remember him having much of a bad streak either.
Not like this. No.
Like I should look up the stat of how many times he missed 2 field goals in a row, and it's probably not very many.
No. Mm-mm.
All right, so I got that one kind of horribly wrong, and then
Ravens are just a weird team right now, man. I don't know. No, I don't think anybody would have said 8-5, right?
yeah,
After 13 games.
I think they have had a pretty tough schedule, but like if you're a good team, you gotta
That's
probably
right.
you gotta beat the Eagles
That's
at home.
That's
you
right.
know, I don't know. So the last one was Broncos on Monday night. I had the Broncos minus 5.5. Another very weird game. Like
Mhm.
Broncos up by 10. Then all of a sudden, like the Browns throw a 70-yard touchdown pass to Judy, like, and then they were like leading, and then the Broncos still end up covering. It was weird.
Jameis Winston for MVP.
Most valuable. What's a synonym for turnover with a P? Yeah, I mean he keeps teams in games for a long time, but like it's
He'll
always
throw
been
a million interceptions.
yeah, there's always going to be a really bad decision or two.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know they're like Joe Buck and Aikman are saying like, there's a lot of teams who need a quarterback, and I'm just like, he's never been consistent. Like he's never managed the game
No.
great. Like, yeah, he can absolutely make every throw, and he can win a game when you're down by 14 with 5 minutes left, but
Like, what's the value of 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions every week? Like, I don't know. Like, how many games do you win with that kind of stat line? I'm
yeah,
not sure.
and when you're basically eliminated from the playoffs too, it's like if someone's making the decision, like, yeah, he's good. I think he should be our quarterback next year. Like, good enough. Like, we can be good around. Like, no. Like, why would you do that?
I don't know.
It's not. The complete thing's not there.
No, I agree. And you wonder though how many like he's going to be in somebody's camp next summer,
absolutely.
right, competing for a job. He may even start.
So
I don't know.
The thing on him is he's a great, like, not a great, he's a good backup quarterback because if you have to insert him for a week or two, he can be serviceable. He can win games much more than someone who just doesn't have the skill set.
Yeah.
But he just can't be a starter. Like if Jameis Winston plays a whole season for any team the rest of his career and makes the playoffs, you can call me an absolute idiot. It's not going to happen.
Well, here's the thing. It's like he could bring, could he bring a team to 9-8, and could a 9-8 team get the 7th-seeded playoff? Yeah, I could see that given how he throws the ball, slings it around. But like, look about Minnesota. Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Jameis Winston as your backup next year?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because they've brought in Daniel Jones. I'm sure he's not there to be the starter, right? So I don't know. It's weird, and I don't know that I would want Daniel Jones to be my backup necessarily, but could he come in and win you a game? I guess. But I think there's the potential out there to see more upside in Winston than somebody like Daniel Jones, even though if I don't know if that would bear out, right, over the course of like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, I wanted to say Jones, but I would need to analyze. So what was it? It was 3 years ago when the Giants made the playoffs and they beat Minnesota in the first round.
That's right.
Like, I want to know what changed because he was really good that year. But now he just seems like he doesn't know how to like read anything. He's just like throwing it to his first read, or like it just doesn't make sense. So how do you, I don't want to say fool defenses for a whole year, but like play 19, 18 good games or mostly good games for a season, get your team into the playoffs, and you're like, you're good, to what he did this year. Like, it can't just be he forgot how to do it, or like, like there's got to be more to it than that. So I don't know. I don't know.
I think the football is one weird sport where it seems like almost any team could have one good year inexplicably, and then like they're bad, great season, and then they're bad again. And it's just that's teams, that's players. It's weird. It's like Keenan Allen with the Bears. He had like a great year last year, so he becomes this great signing. Let's sign him. Oh, and then it's like, well, I mean, I know he's been good-ish his career, but that season was like an aberration, and this season he's kind of disappeared a little bit. It's weird. There's a lot of one year greatness in the NFL that just dissipates sort of inexplicably.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
13 games, 6 teams on bye. Tonight, the Packers play the Lions.
Yeah.
And I said the Lions would be favored by 5.
I have them given 5.5, and you're going to get this. This dropped down all to 3.5.
Lions. Yeah, so it opened at 4, and it's 3.5. Yeah, I get that one by half a point. Okay, so this is your standard. I thought it should have been higher. It's lower. So I'm obviously gonna like the Packers based on what I've said all season. It's tough. I mean, the Lions should have covered against the Bears and obviously didn't. Well,
Oh,
then
lost
they
that
should have
game.
lost. Um, but the Lions had. I should look into this more closely, but they had a couple key players go down. Like
Yeah,
I think Nunez Roaches is out for the season, and
yeah.
someone else is out for a few games or something like that. But they had some significant injuries,
To the defense, yeah.
and I don't know. The Packers have been playing well. The Packers kind of, like if they win this game, they feel like they could maybe still win the division, especially if the Lions are banged up. And I don't know. I haven't looked at the remaining schedules, but division game, like 3.5 seems like it could be a lot. But when the Lions win 40-7, I guess I was just wrong. But I have to like the Packers here. The way they're playing,
Yeah.
I feel like it could be a close game. If you remember when the Lions went to Lambeau maybe a month ago, that was Jordan Love played, but I don't think he was 100%. He was coming back from that groin injury or something like
Mhm.
that. It was a cold, I think even snowy game. It was just kind of like I don't know. The Packers seemed like they didn't have the Jims and Joes healthy for that game. So I think they're gonna go in here, and I think they'll keep it close. So I like the Packers plus 3.5. I feel like I take the dog in these Thursday games a lot, and I don't know, it hasn't really panned out that well. But
But the
I
dog
like,
overall has been pretty good this season
yeah.
against
Typically,
the
that
spread.
seems like it's the way it goes. But
Yep.
so I'm gonna go.
Uh-oh, here we go.
What am I gonna go? Packers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from this one. I don't know. Like both of these teams played poor enough for the Bears to beat them had they had a competent head coach, and that didn't end up happening. They're both good teams, and the records are incredible. I really like the Lions, but they are banged up. Uh, and LaFleur is just, I don't know, he can work some magic. Yeah, I would stay away from this game. I'm excited to watch it though. It's a great Thursday night matchup. Well done, NFL schedulers.
Yeah, and we'll
Well done.
see. Hopefully, we get, you know, I say this all the time, but like short week
Yeah.
injuries and people banged up and just not the time to recover and not the time to prep. And
Not a short week for the Lions though, because they were on Thursday last week. So only
oh
short week for the
yeah,
Packers.
interesting.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
Gibbs did leak the playbook. Did you see that?
No.
So
What?
Gibbs took a picture or a video of like another teammate or someone in front of the whiteboard,
Yeah.
and they had all their like their audibles or like their
Oh,
lingo on it.
oh no, that is not good at
I
all.
shouldn't say all. It had some of them. And Campbell, they asked Campbell about it in an interview,
Yeah.
and he didn't even know about it yet. He's like, "Wait, what?" And then he came out the next day or later that day and said, if we lose games because we got
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
lingo leaked on the whiteboard,
Yeah.
like he's behind closed doors. I think he chewed
Oh,
him
I would
out,
assume.
but he's gonna play it like,
Of course, he's gonna cover his guys,
right.
like a good coach should. Unlike Eberflus, who's like, I don't know, we did what we should have. That was the right call. Bad players, you. Bad players, you.
Yeah. Okay, so
Mm.
I like the Packers
Yeah.
for 2.
Yep.
Okay, let's go to. We got to be starting Saturday games soon, but it's not
Not this week.
yet.
Mm-mm.
I think they flex some of the better matchups to Saturday
Mm.
coming up here, but we have the Browns and the Steelers, the rematch. The Browns beat the
Oh,
Steelers
a
a
couple
couple
weeks
weeks
ago.
ago. Yeah,
Snow Bowl. Yeah.
yeah.
Fun game.
So I have the Steelers by
I
6.
got the Steelers given 4.5.
Ooh, somewhere in there, I think. Open at
Oh.
7, and it is
Hmm.
6.5.
That's high.
Steelers. Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it. Like some people would look at it, well, the Browns already beat the Steelers. Why is it so high?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at it. I'm pretty sure I picked the Browns a couple weeks ago in this matchup, and it was the whole like the Steelers had just beat the Ravens,
Mhm.
and I remember saying like this is just a bad spot for the Steelers. Like the Browns are at home, they need a win. You know, Jameis was his pregame interview was praising the Lord, and he was fired up and ready to go. Um, so it's just a bad spot for the Steelers now. Now you get the Steelers at home. They already lost to the Browns once. Like
Mhm.
they're gonna have the juice. They're gonna want to beat them. I mean, you don't want to get swept by the Browns
No.
with how good of a season you're having. So I definitely think the Steelers win this game. 6.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Browns for 1 star here. I don't. I just that seems too much. That seems
Six
too
and a
much for
half can
me.
be a lot, but
Yeah,
I don't know. So okay, Josh
Browns
is
for
going
one.
Browns for one.
I like to cover that spread.
I'm gonna go opposite for one.
Ooh, nice.
Steelers.
Ooh, controversy. That's good. You guys got to tune in next week so we can see how this all shook out.
Steelers are gonna win by 6. You're gonna get it. It's gonna go to overtime, and Steelers are gonna score a touchdown and win by 6.
Sounds like a great game. Excited.
Yeah.
Excited to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like the how the AFC is shaping up. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, if you had to pick a team or two, you'd take the Chiefs or the Bills, I would guess. But like the Steelers with Wilson and that defense, Wilson's won one before. The Chargers with Harbaugh and that defense, and like Herbert seems like kind of a primetime player type of guy. So like the AFC playoffs is going to be an absolute like guessing game on like a very good matchups, I
Yeah,
think.
a lot of fun. Playoffs are going to be great. Can't wait.
Okay, so we got the Saints at the Giants. I said Saints by 2.
I went the other way because I'm bad at this. I went Giants, give them 3.5. The old, or sorry, 3. Not that it's going to
3.
make a difference because it's totally all the way to the Saints, but
All right. So yeah, the Saints are
4.5.
open at 4 and it's up to 4.5. So we're both off.
I mean, but I'm way off. I don't like the Saints are bad. I know both teams are bad, but both teams are like without a quarterback. Both teams are like one of them jettisoned the head coach a long time ago. The other team is like we should have jettisoned the head coach a long time ago. I, I don't know. This is an odd line for me. Like what are the Saints showing people for Vegas?
So
Like what's going on?
so since Dennis Allen got fired, the Saints are either 1-2 or 2-1, and all the games have been close. Like they seem like they're playing teams tough. And the Giants just kind of really aren't. The Giants are just a hot mess. So I think some of this is like the Saints are still playing decent, even though they're a bad team, and the Giants just aren't. Like they're on, I don't even know, is DeVito or Locke starting, and they are just not fun to watch, like at all. Um, so I think that's what this is. I like some people say, oh, you know, that they're giving up, they're trying to get the number one pick, which there's ways to do that, but like if a team's truly tanking, do you have like meetings in the locker room and you say only try 82%? Or like how do you actually do that? What does that actually look like?
Yeah.
Or do you just like rest some of your better players to like make it so that your team isn't as good? I don't know what that looks like, but this is weird. Like I want to take the Saints based on that it's
Yeah.
much higher than either of us thought, but I can't do it. I can't trust the Saints
Stay
on the
away
road
from this
against
game.
any team.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. That's a stay away for me.
Yeah, and just a poopy game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Bad job, NFL schedules. Although,
Bad job by you.
I mean, I guess it's unavoidable, though, right?
Right. Okay, and then we got the Jets Dolphins. The Dolphins had a big opportunity to really get in the thick of the AFC wild card, and they lost at the Packers.
Yes, they did.
So now can they rebound and beat a team that they should beat at home? I have the Dolphins by 6.
As do I.
Whoa.
Yep. Tie. Woo. Here we go. Hot dog. Hot.
It is close to 6. I don't know exactly what
It is 6.
Yeah, open at 6.5.
Call it
And there's
6.
some love for the Jet.
Whoa, we're so smart. We should be doing this professionally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, we both got it right on. It's a fair line.
Yeah.
The
Jets are tinky.
It's a division game. The Jets are very inconsistent, but the Dolphins, like on a given night, I don't know, you can really trust them too much either.
What's like, they're a weird team, right? They should be good. They're better. They're a playoff team. They were bad when Tua went out. He came back and they seem to have some life, but they haven't had any consistency. And that's, I think, the strange thing to me, right? They haven't leveled off yet. So you got to figure out like what's going on internally.
Pull up the AFC standings, because I know they're not mathematically eliminated, but with Denver keeping on winning, they're
5-7, so they're the 9th seed right now, just outside of it. But I mean, honestly, like the wild cards right now are the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Broncos. And I got to be honest, the Ravens, geez, could they not make the playoffs? I guess maybe. But the Broncos are fucking great. Yeah, like the Broncos look good.
Aside from giving up 30 million points to
but 8-5. I don't know. Like I'm responding to the fact that like Bo Nix is like turning into like a decent, not just serviceable quarterback right before our eyes in his rookie year. People are out on him. I don't know, man. So I don't see it.
They're 5-7. The Broncos have their bye this week. So if the Dolphins win, they're still 2 games out. And I don't know if they've played the Broncos this year, but you'd have to get into tiebreakers if they can win. But they're 2.5 games out, and there's 5 games to play. I mean, that's a lot.
It is. I agree.
Although I think you're going to see at least one team in one of these conferences make a little run and maybe sneak in or make it close, it always comes down to the last day, at least in some capacity.
Yep.
So we'll see.
The Colts have a chance to get a game on the Broncos. After the Broncos come back from the bye, they're playing the Colts. So that might be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. The Dolphins, I don't think they've got it this year.
Yeah, if the Colts win this week and then they beat the Broncos, they're right
there. Yeah, they're right there.
I mean, the Colts are just not as good of a team as the Broncos, but
no,
that doesn't.
No, that's true. I don't see that happening. The Colts, it's a weird division though, right now, the AFC South. So, I mean, I don't see them overtaking the Texans, but.
Did you say weird or shitty?
I said weird, but shitty could also apply. I mean, because the Texans seem to want to give it away.
Yeah.
So,
weird. All right.
Weird.
So, Dolphins, Jets, we both guessed it right on. It's fair. Don't have an opinion.
Nope.
Okay. The Jags and the Titans.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, boy.
Crap bowl effect.
Get your popcorn ready.
Oop.
Turn all the other TVs off and put this one right front and center. Okay, I said Titans by 3.
I got Titans by 3.5.
Oh, I think you're right, unless it moved.
Which it sometimes could.
Whoa.
3.5.
I don't know what I was looking at. I thought, opened at 5. Yeah, went to 3.5 mostly. Okay. So you got it.
Nice.
You banged it.
I did. I mean, this is like Lawrence is injured. That hit heard around the world, at least for this season. He's not going to play. I didn't see it,
but I heard about it a million times. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, Lawrence slides, and the question is, at what point does the defender see the slide, and in his full speed charge, does he register that and go, I've got to not do what I'm trained to do? Well, and I don't know that it was quite bang, bang, but
from what I heard, it really wasn't. And pretty much every other player kind of is able to hold up, especially.
Yeah, well, he's also, I guess, supposed to be a dirty player. For my untrained eye, it looked like, I don't know. I mean,
it looked like it was more bang bang.
Yeah, but it was like he's sliding and he's running, and I guess maybe he could have. He didn't have to dive. I guess that was the thing. Like he could have just run right past him. It was clear he was down. He could have touched him, I suppose. But I mean, the issue is he just launched head for just like a fucking missile, which is what they're telling you not to do anyway. And it was immediately helmet to helmet. But I don't know.
Yeah.
He's out anyway. He's just out. He's out. So
Lawrence or Shire?
both, right? Didn't he get suspended
Yeah,
again?
he got suspended 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So insert Mac Jones against Will Levis.
He'll solve everything.
Yeah. So 3.5. I mean, I guess I get it. The Jags have
Yeah.
a backup quarterback, so you
Mhm.
give the Titans a little more love,
Yep.
but I don't know. When it's bad team on bad team, it just felt like, well, whatever. I said 3 is 3.5. It's close enough. And if you think you know what's going to happen in this game, you're crazy because
Yeah.
these two teams stink.
Yep. Bad teams.
I think the tendency is going to be for people to like the Titans just because it is Mac Jones on the road and Levis has shown some flashes here and there, but yucky.
Another game to stay away from.
Yeah. This next one is interesting. It's the Falcons at the Vikings.
The Falcons really do need a win.
I said Vikings by 4.
I have them given 6.5.
Ooh, it's right in the middle of that somewhere. Opened at 4.5.
5.5.
5.5. You get it.
Oops. Well, I heard some talk that maybe a little Michael Penix Jr. action here. Maybe.
I heard that suggested. I think that would be a very bad idea by the Vikings, or sorry, by the Falcons.
Good idea for the Vikings to make that personnel decision for the Falcons.
Well, I mean, yeah, throw Penix in there against Flores and all the weird stuff
Watch
he
him get
does.
eaten
Like,
up. Yeah.
probably not a good idea, but who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much of that was rumor or like actual consideration.
I mean, I think a lot of it is a reaction to how immobile Cousins looked, and just against how aggressive Flores likes to program that defense. A lot of people, and just how poorly Cousins performed in the previous game, and a lot of people pointing out that these were sort of like unforced errors on Cousins' part. Like there was no sort of inexplicably, his play was sort of inexplicable. He didn't have to make those throws, he didn't have to make those interceptions. Those were sort of like rookie mistakes. So sort of questioning, like, what are you really getting out of him at this point? At the same time, they're still leading the division and they are fighting for a playoff spot. So I don't know. Do you give that up?
Yeah. So lots of storylines. If the Penix Cousins thing is actually a thing or a consideration, you got Kirk coming back to US Bank Stadium to play the Vikings.
Yes,
so
big storyline.
It's an emotional game for sure.
Yep.
And then the Falcons are fighting for a playoff spot. Like they're not going to get a wild card, so they need to hold off the Bucks. And the Bucks seem like they could beat anyone at this point.
And they seem to have a much easier, well, maybe much easier is wrong, but they're playing the bottom of the division. They're playing the Saints, the Panthers. They have the Giants in there maybe towards in the back half of their schedule. So I don't know. The Bucks road seems a little easier at this point than the Falcons.
Yeah. So I don't know that like you could make a strong case either way on this about like Cousins coming back. He's going to be motivated, or
there's that
the Vikings also are plenty motivated because they want to prove that getting rid of him was the right decision. So what wins there? And then, you have the playoff implications. And I think the Vikings win. Like they just seem like they win close games, but I think it will be close. Like I do think Cousins will have a decent game.
Falcons are on a 3-game losing streak.
Ooh.
Saints, Broncos, and Chargers. 2 of those games were close. The Broncos just spanked their tushies. I don't know. I definitely think I like the Vikings here.
Yeah. I think like I said, I think they'll win 5.5. I don't know.
Yeah, covering, I'm not sure, but I like the Vikings in this spot here.
All right. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I don't have anything going on so I can sit and watch it.
I
assume that's a noon game.
A nooner. I believe it is.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Let's see. We're halfway through. We got the frisky Panthers at the Eagles. I said Eagles by 10 ski.
I have the Eagles giving 11.
Oh, you're going to get it. I think
it's like 12 or 12.5, or it was.
Yeah. Opened at 13, came down to 12.5. People just loved that half a point from 13 to 12.
Thanks. I will. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'll take the Panthers here.
All right.
Give me 2 stars on the Panthers. They've played some close games, and this is a pretty enormous spread, which I think we've seen these type of spreads haven't borne out all the time. Although now that I've said this, the Eagles defense is really going to lock down and put a hurting on Bryce Young probably.
Yeah.
It is. I'll still take the Panthers here to cover.
This is interesting. I was listening to some sort of like it wasn't Red Zone, but I was just listening to the radio because I was driving all day Sunday, and so they're going back and forth with. They have like an analyst at every field, and they're checking in when things happen. Is kind of a cool setup. But so the guy who was doing the Panthers game made a case for the Panthers making the playoffs because they were like really close, or they had just taken the lead on the Bucks, and he's like, the Falcons lost, and if they beat the Bucks, that's obviously a loss for the Bucks, and the Saints lost or were losing, and he's like, if they win this game, they have a better chance than you might think. Now he wasn't actually like going there, but he was like, well, like everyone in America obviously weren't even thinking Panthers and playoffs even in the same like universe. But like if they did beat, so what would they have been if they would have beat the Bucks?
They would have been a whopping 4-8.
They'd have been 4-8, but the Bucks would have been what, 6?
They're 6-6, and so are the Falcons. So were they in play for the division? Yeah, maybe. And look, there's 5 games left. So conceivably, that could be anybody's division. They've looked, I think, a lot better than anybody thought they would coming into the season. Bryce Young has looked a lot better than I think anybody was going to think he was going to look. Like he's shown flashes of, wow, maybe he is the guy he should have been. Maybe he can lead this team.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that isn't crazy, given that both Bucks and Falcons are 6-6. But right. I don't think they're going to get a wild card spot like the fucking Vikings and Packers and the Commanders. I don't think anyway.
Yeah, so the Bucks would have been, let's see, 5-7.
No, 5-7, right?
Yeah, they'd have been 5-7, and the Panthers would have been 4-8.
Yeah,
and the Falcons are what,
6-6 right now.
Yes. But the way the Falcons are playing, I mean, here's the other thing. I think the Panthers play the Falcons.
They play both of those teams, I think,
once more. So, like. It was obviously a super long shot, but it would have gotten a little bit interesting if they would have won that game, just because they've played well. Like Falcons haven't played well, but the Bucks are going to win continue winning games.
So this is maybe a wrinkle: the Panthers end the season's Bucks Falcons. So I mean, maybe look. So they got
8 and 9. Panthers make the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe. Look, so they're probably not going to beat the Eagles. But then it's Cowboys, Cardinals, Bucks, Falcons. Could they run off 4 in a row? Cowboys, Cardinals? Probably not. But I mean, I guess it's there.
Oh yeah, it would have been if they won this week and had one more win, then it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely playing a lot better. I think most people just
wrote him off.
Completely gave up on Bryce Young, but now he might actually be the guy.
Might be a guy. Exciting. I mean, good for them, right? Nobody wants to see a shitty football team.
Right. So you like the Panthers
just to cover. I don't think they're going to win this game, but it's
So they've been competitive.
That's it. They've been competitive. That's
for a month basically.
Yes.
I think they've covered their last 3, if not 4. Yeah. You wonder at what point they showed Chuba Hubbard like on the sideline way after the game, like he really thought they had that one. He kind of thought like it was a turning point and that they were getting better.
Yeah.
At what point do they sort of give up now, seeing that they can't even finish the season with a winning record, even if they win out? I don't know. Like this is higher than I guessed. So is Vegas just saying like the Eagles were just going to keep pumping up their number until they don't cover, or what?
I mean, they're like on an 8-game winning streak at this point. So that has to be a lot of it. And I think the other thing is you've got a defensive wizard in Vic Fangio, whose defense is finally coalescing, right? So I think that's another piece of this is that defense against still, regardless of what's happened the last 4 weeks, an unproven quarterback, right? And the best you can say at this point. So I think that's another thing that's driving this line. And you can't give the big spread to the Chiefs. So why not the Eagles?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's fair. Like we were both close enough,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
more than 10, less than 14, I guess is very fair. I don't know what to think. Like I could see the Panthers being right in this, a one-score game. I could also see like, like I'm thinking like, how do the Panthers score 20 points against the Eagles defense doing what they've been doing? And how do the Panthers stop the Eagles from scoring 30? The Eagles should be able to do whatever they want, but
Yep.
sometimes those are the situations where you feel like you can do whatever you want, and then you don't know what you're doing. Like you don't know which of the great options to pick, and then you kind of just like regress. But we'll see. Worth watching to start to see if the Panthers can hang around.
I mean, I think Bryce Young is just to see, like, is he developing? Is he making plays? He has flashes of like mobility and some accurate deep throwing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, this could be a fun game to watch.
Yeah. All right, we got 5 left.
Let's do it.
Raiders at the Bucs.
Raiders.
The Bucs get a cupcake. I went Bucs by 7.5.
Bucs given 6.5.
I don't remember what this one was.
6.5 across the board. Started at 7.
At 7.5, went to 6.5. All right, you get that one.
Dude.
You've hit 4 in a row and took the lead.
Yeah.
All right, you hit 2 of these half-point lines right on the nuts. So
yeah.
What are you thinking here?
I mean, I'm thinking this is a good Bucs team who's getting some players back against a shitty Raiders team. Not just a shitty team, an organizational shittiness, right? I think one of the most interesting things, the only interesting thing about the Raiders at this point is now that Tom Brady owns a piece, does he have the football knowledge at the organizational level to make an impact, and will the organization let him? And I think that's what's interesting about the Raiders. Other than that, they're not worth discussing. I like the Bucs here. I don't know if they'll cover, but I like the Bucs here to win. 6.5 seemed like a decent number given the vagaries of the NFL in general. And the Bucs, they just seem to want to give up a game to teams they shouldn't sometimes. That's just, and Baker loves to throw an interception. So, but yeah, I like the Bucs here. Seems like a good line. Raiders shitty.
So did you follow the Raiders Chiefs game on Black Friday at all?
I saw some of it. They kept it close.
So I just saw the updates, like the play-by-play on my app, but apparently the Raiders had a 3rd and 3 from the Chiefs, like 20 or 30, and they fumbled the snap. They should have won the game.
Yep.
Fumbled the snap. Obviously the Chiefs take over and win, but like the Raiders had that game in Kansas City. Like, well, yeah, I mean, bad teams find ways.
Yeah, divisional roundup and divisional.
But if you ever need an excuse for not taking a divisional favorite, like in a division game, that's the game. The Raiders suck. Seems like they sort of have given up at times. The Chiefs are one of the best teams in the NFL. Granted, they haven't really blown teams out, but the Raiders should have won that game. Like they were in it the whole way and covered easily. So if you ever just love that elite team to beat that really bad team by a lot, like the NFL is the place where it usually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
All right. You took the lead.
I did. We'll see how long I hold on to it.
Seahawks at the Cardinals. The NFC West is a mess.
It is.
Imagine that. The Niners are the worst team.
5-7. Who would have said? I mean, they are really, and I think they're out of it. I think most people are like, I've heard chatter like, oh, the Bears should be trading for Kyle Shanahan to be their next coach. And I was just like, Colin Cowherd said that, and some other people said that, and I was like, shut the fuck up.
Why the hell would Shanahan do that?
Well, so aging roster, you're going to have to give the big check to Brock Purdy. Is Brock Purdy the right person to give the big check to?
He doesn't deserve the check after this year.
Well, no, but since when does that make, like, they fucking Giants gave Daniel Jones the big check?
Right, but you think there's a team that's just going to go balls out on Purdy after this season?
I don't know. They took him to a Super Bowl. Maybe not. Maybe not. But
All it
these
takes
are the
is one
reasons.
team, though.
Right. That's right. But this is the rationale for why the Niners would even listen to somebody trading for Shanahan, and why Shanahan would want. I don't know. I think it's a dumb idea. I think it's a dumb idea. But fuck, man. Yes, the Niners are. It's a crazy division, and the Seahawks. At the beginning of the season, they're like 3-0. Like, oh yeah, Seahawks. And then they lost like 4 in a row. And it's like, oh, Seahawks suck, haha. And now they're winning the division again. Fucking NFL, man.
But they're not going to win the division. Well, we'll see. They're frisky.
They are. I mean, in a really boring sort of way, yes.
So I said Cards at home by 4.
I got to give them 2.5. Cards by 2.5.
I think it was 3. You might just edge me on this one. Ooh,
2.5.
2.5. Another half-point win.
Boom.
You
Bringing the dynamite.
Okay, well, tell me why the Seahawks are a slightly better team than the Cardinals.
I mean, I think they're both deficient in different ways. I think the Cardinals have been and continue to be incredibly erratic. There's talent on that roster that can't seem to be harnessed in a way that matters. And I think the Seahawks, new coach, they've got some injuries, and they've got a serviceable but not great or dynamic quarterback in Geno Smith who can win you games. And I think the reason that the Seahawks are getting the benefit of the doubt here, again, because the Cardinals aren't at a -3 at home or a little better, is that stability. And the fact that they have overcome a sort of a mid-season slump to take the division lead and win some games, where the Cardinals have fumbled some games away. They had the division, they were leading the division, and they sort of given away. So that's why I think this is the line here.
Yeah. So pull up the NFC West. I think these teams are both 6-6.
Seahawks are 7-5, I believe.
Wow.
Yep.
So I want to like the Cardinals here, but I picked them against the Seahawks last time and they didn't do very well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just a matchup thing or what.
And they just played them 2 weeks ago. They just played them. You know?
Right. So Cardinals 6-6, Seahawks 7-5. Obviously, the Cardinals really need this game to kind of keep to be 1-1 against the Seahawks and have the same record atop the division. What are the Rams 6-6 too?
I think the Rams are 5-7. The Rams are 6-6. Yes, you're right. So they are 6-6. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's going to go down to the wire in some shape, way, shape, or form. I don't like Seahawks get a road win. Cards play the Vikings very tough. Should have won the game. Yep. Vikings come back and win by 1.
Yep.
So you got the Cardinals coming home. They need it more. It's only 2.5. Like that's the part that confuses me. Like I feel like it should be more than 3. Yeah. But I can't not pick the Cardinals in this spot. Like it's a good spot for them. I think they'll figure it out. And if they can go into US Bank Stadium and basically dominate the Vikings for like 55 minutes, I think they can win a home game against the Seahawks. Although, I don't know, Kyler seems like the guy who like beats someone on the road he never should beat and then like plays too much Xbox the night before the Seahawks game and loses. But man, Kenneth Walker is questionable. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I mean, not that big of a deal, I guess. But I'm going to go Cardinals. 2 stars here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I do like the Seahawks here. I'm not going to pick, but I feel like the Seahawks have the again just stability. That's the only thing that comes from it.
So let's so 7-5 versus 6-6. If the Seahawks win, they're 8-5 versus 6-7. So they have basically a 2.5 game lead because they obviously have the tiebreaker against the Cardinals. Yeah. 2.5 game lead with 4 games to play. You're basically toast. So this is like if you're Gannon in the locker room, this is win and very good chance to make the playoffs, lose and like they always do the percentage to make the playoffs if they win and if they lose.
Mhm.
This is one of those percentage to make the playoffs if they win like 40% and if they lose like 7%. So a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're any good, you got to win this game at home.
Yeah, they do. And the thing is that the Seahawks too, they've already lost the Rams. And they played the Rams the last game of the season. They don't want to come into the last game of the season needing to beat the Rams to capture the division. So they need this game. They do. The division is a tight division race, and each team has kind of beaten up on the others, except for the Niners, weirdly. So yeah, I don't know which way this game is going to go. These are very similar teams in terms of quality. Just they're what makes them good and what makes them bad are just different.
Yeah. And I mean, the more I think about it, it's like the whole 2.5 thing with the Patriots Colts, right? The Colts won, but they didn't cover 2.5.
Yeah.
Like this could very well,
Mhm.
like
Come down to a
there's a
field goal or
very good chance
Yeah.
this comes down to a field goal at the end
Yeah.
either way. And like, the Cards could very easily win by 1 or 2 or lose
Yeah.
by 1 or 2. So
or a coach inexplicably not calling a timeout when they should call a timeout.
who did that?
Who could
These guys
possibly?
are professionals. They don't make
They
those
should.
mistakes.
They never not in a well, one guy over and over and over and over again, like repeatedly on national television. That's what who wants to talk about that?
Us.
Oh, we do.
Very
Oh,
soon, yeah.
Coming up.
Hey, we got the Bears
Ah!
against the Niners
Bears.
in what should never have been a toilet bowl, but it's
Nope.
sort of kind of a toilet bowl.
Toilet bowl.
Sixers. I have Niners by 6.
I have the same.
Sixer.
Niners by 6.
We have the Niners by 6.
We got the Niners by 6er. That's right.
We should go pick up a
Sixer by
Sixer
Niner. Oh,
and
dude, that sounds pretty good.
the 10 a.m. Sixer. All right.
Not that I endorse that in any meaningful way during a workday, but that sounds good.
Okay. We both said 6.
We did
Guess we're gonna tie that one. It is
4.
only 4. Floofus is gone, and the
Floofus.
Spurs.
Floofus. Eberlus is gone.
Yeah.
What took so long is the only question I have.
I don't know, but I got to win the next 3 to win the week here. Okay. So McCaffrey's most likely done for the year.
Yeah. Didn't they put him on IR already? I think they did.
Probably. So, did you watch any of the Bills Niners game?
Mm-mm.
So it's like it's the Snow Bowl, right?
Yep.
Buffalo has 1 or 2.
I
of
did
those
see
games.
that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Every year
Very
they have
snowy.
1 or 2 of those,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's the whole like if you're a decent running back and you make kind of that one cut and you don't slip on the snow, it's impossible for the defense to like react and like cut. So you were seeing a ton of 10+ yard carries because it's just really hard to play the run. If McCaffrey doesn't get hurt in that game, there would have been a million rushing yards on both sides. It would have been up and down, I think, both ways. McCaffrey he was about to break a touchdown when he had his knee injury, which would have made it like 14-10 or 10-10 or something like that. He goes down. Now, I mean, Jordan Mason is definitely decent too, and he had some big chunk runs, but the Bills ended up blowing him out. But that would have been, I'm kind of just like mad because that would have been fun to watch McCaffrey run for 250 yards in the snow. But yeah, so it's a PCL injury. He's most likely done for the year, especially considering where the Niners are at. But what are they still like 5-7?
The Niners?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they're like the Seahawks are 7-5. They're 5-7, although they don't play each other anymore. I don't think.
The Seahawks and the Niners? I do not believe so.
I think they've already played each other twice, so they would obviously need some help. But this is a dynamic matchup just because the Bears fired Eberflus.
Bye-bye.
Let's just, for those of you who didn't follow that game on Thanksgiving, so the Lions were up by 2 scores a decent amount of the game, but then the Bears
15-0 at halftime, I believe.
How many games have the Bears not scored a point in the first half? It's at least 2, if not 3.
Yeah, I mean, they have taken an incredible. It's been really sad because they've looked like dog shit several times in the first half, and then they have come back to either be outright winning or at least close to be poised for victory and then just fucked it up because of dumb decisions by the coaching staff. Just dumb, inexplicable, stupid decisions by people whose job it is to make good, smart decisions in critical moments.
Yeah, so they score a touchdown to go down 3 with like 3 minutes left, and then maybe 4 minutes. I don't know. Anyway, they get a 3 and out.
Yep.
Get the ball back.
Yep.
And then they
piss away 45 seconds.
They go down the field. They get down to like the 25, yep. And then there's, I don't know, 40 seconds left. Williams takes a sack. So they have a timeout, right?
Yes,
they take the sack.
Timeout.
They're still in field goal range.
Yes. Like short field goal range too. It's not a 50-yarder.
Kind of two options. You either take the timeout right away because you took a sack and you're like, okay, fine, we took the timeout, but we could still throw it away.
Yep.
We could spike it. We could do whatever we need to do.
And get the field goal to tie and force overtime on Thanksgiving.
Or you
not do anything.
You get everyone ready. You run a quick play, get out of bounds, incomplete, still have like
enough time to set up the field goal.
Time to kick it.
Tie the game.
So they did the in-between approach. The spectacular head coach doesn't call the timeout.
He's there. He's watching it as it happens, as the clock is ticking down, and did literally nothing.
Yeah. So Williams gets guys to the line fairly quick. He snaps it. He takes his time a little bit. He kind of loops a ball, like throws a deeper pass.
Yeah.
And it hits the ground with like right as it hits zeros. And everyone just looks at each other like, the hell happened? So in the moment, like I'm in no way putting this on Williams, but in the moment, he could have thrown a shorter pass, thrown an out route rather than what he did. But he should have been prepared for that in practice. Like they should have gone over that 100 times. Like you got to know how much time you got to know. And obviously it wasn't there. So Eberflus like kind of deflected it as he did what he was supposed to do in the moment. But that's the whole problem. It's about more than that. It's about being prepared. Like you have to be prepared for those situations. And obviously they weren't.
They weren't. And it's look, even if you were doing what you were going to play, plans fail. And you have to be able to, in the moment when your plan fails, to make a good, quick decision. And he over and over and over again showed that he couldn't do that. He did that last year. He did it in his first year. This fucker never should have been hired in the first place. Nobody was like, oh yeah, Eberflus, top coaching candidate. And where do the Bears come and swoop in and hire this idiot? And Poles, oh God, he's still here. He's like, I got my guy. This is my guy.
You said fucker. Did you mean Eber? It's not Eberfucker. It's Eberflus.
I'm sorry, that was my bad. Yeah, I mispronounced it. That's on me, because I can take accountability for myself and my actions. And it's like, so, and it's forcing the Bears to do something they've never done in the entire 121 history years of the franchise: fire a coach midseason because he was so abominably bad, and the players were so upset that they were swearing at him in the locker room, and he had to run away. Literally had to leave the locker room Yes. Because he got up there and he gave the same shit he gave everybody else. And I guess Jalen Johnson was like, shut the fuck up or something like that. It was like, that's some bullshit. And then Eberflus was like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't be here because I'm an asshole. And he left. And then the fucking Bears, idiots that they are, still made him go out and have that press conference, 9 a.m. Friday morning. I'm the coach. I'm going to be the coach. I'm preparing for San Francisco. And then 2 hours later, he's fired. Idiots. Up and down across the board. What the fuck? But hey, they're going to hire a leader of men for their next head coach. Leader of men.
I heard Poles isn't involved in the search.
No. Kevin Warren came out instead, I think. And look, if you watch that press conference, somebody else pointed this out, but then I went back and rewatched it. And Kevin Warren's up there and he's commanding and he's like, we're going to do this. It's Poles. It's blah, blah, blah. It's Poles' job. We're going to do this, Poles. And Poles is sitting there all like, and it's all like twitchy and fidgety, and it's like, well, yeah, because you picked a fucking idiot to be the head coach, and now you're gonna head it off, and you're gonna do this again.
Good stuff.
Bad times.
So now Thomas Brown takes over as interim.
Yes.
He's been doing decent as the offensive coordinator, but now
Caleb has looked better. But
so now I don't know if he's passing off play calling duties or if he's gonna call the plays and be the decision maker, but. So you got that. So you get the dead coach bump
Bounce, yeah.
or bounce, whatever.
Yeah.
So I do think the Bears are going to play well, but
They've played well. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
They have, in situationally, they've played well. They've played well enough to be a playoff contending team, and they've been shot in the foot by stupid decision making by the coaching staff.
they're going to San Francisco. Excuse me. So obviously it's no like San Francisco needs a win too. Um, that doesn't mean I don't know what to think about this game. Like you'd think San Francisco could get right at home
You would think.
against the Bears team, but they just haven't played well.
No.
Like you can't expect the team to play well when they just haven't played well.
No.
And now McCaffrey's out, and so I don't know. I'm very like I think you could make a strong case for the Bears or the Niners. Like the Bears
Yeah.
case would be Eberflus is finally gone. They're going to play free. Like they're going to put up points. This is kind of the inflection point for them. But you could also say, you know, the Bears are going out west. The Niners really need, like, if the Niners don't win this game, their chances of making the playoffs are like next to nothing.
No. Yeah.
So you got that. But McCaffrey's hurt. Like, I don't know. I could see this going either way, and I just don't. I think just reading the line, it's lower than what I thought.
Yeah.
I feel like the Bears is definitely the right side. Like 4 points. I mean, they've been in. They went
They have
overtime
been,
with
yes.
the Vikings. They could have beaten the Lions in Detroit.
But have beaten the Packers.
Yeah, lose to the Packers on a blocked field goal. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not think the Bears is the right side here? I guess.
I agree. I mean, it's inexplicable. There is talent on this roster that hasn't been marshaled effectively and taught to work in concert to achieve victory. And I don't know. And look, here's the other thing. As much as I want to shit on Eberflus, which you can tell I enjoy doing, his defense was good, and he was the defensive play caller. So the question is, maybe you see some rebound from the offensive side, but what happens to the defense? And can the defense continue to perform as it's performed when the guy who was directing it, which is probably the only thing he should be directing, is gone? So I don't know, because he wasn't the guy. The defensive coordinator was not the defensive play caller. So now that's his job. That's a question mark. I mean, take the Bears. I hope they win, but man.
Yeah, so I talked myself into a 1-star on the Bears here for a variety. I think there's enough support for them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 points is can be a lot. The coach is gone. I think they're going to play loose. Like there's no one.
They did not.
The person that everyone was mad at is gone.
Yes,
like they're absolutely going to play loose.
Yep.
They've just been a better team than the Niners, like overall for the last month. Like the way they've played against good teams.
They've been a competitive team. Weird to say.
McCaffrey's out. There's enough there.
Yep.
You know, 4 can be a lot. Oh, and the line is lower than I thought. Like,
yep.
I think there's something to that. There's a reason why it's only 4. So I'm going Bears.
Bears.
Let's do Bills at the Rams. Could be a good game. I got Bills by 3.5.
I see. I went the Bills 7, and this line, I think it's 3.5.
It is 4. It opened at 4.5, and it's 4.
This is really low to me.
So I got that one. So I'm 1 back. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've been pulling for the Rams for a while, and they've with mixed results.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be a stay away, definitely. Obviously, the Rams are 6-6. A win here goes a long way because you're back above 500. You're pretty much guaranteeing yourself with a win that you're going to be in the mix, at least in the West, going down the stretch, because you do have that game against Seattle, who's leading the division. I just don't know. The Bills are just good. Like, I don't know. Like, you'd think that the Rams could cover 4 at home, but
no, they don't have Josh Allen on their team, though, do they?
What's the last Bills game where it was actually close?
That's a great.
I think it was the Dolphins game like 5 weeks ago. Like every other, the Chiefs game was sort of close, but they won by 8 or 9.
Let's see. Does 9 points count?
No.
Dolphins. Was a field goal, but then I mean, you have to go back to the Jets game. Well, they lost. I mean, they lost 2 games. They lost to the Texans. They lost to the Ravens. They only beat the Jets by a field goal. But I mean, they have had their margin of victory has been pretty significant over the
Yeah.
course of this season,
The
and they've played everybody.
the key, I mean, the Rams, it has to be a possession ball game.
Yeah,
The Bills, it's no secret the Bills are bad against the run. Kyron Williams is one of the best running backs in the league. They absolutely have to, he has to get probably 20 carries. They can control, if they can control the clock and just kind of control the game, they'll be in this. I just don't know how much, like, it's all on the Rams defense. Can they keep the Bills to 24, 21 and win a game, or are the Bills going to score 35?
well, here's the thing too. The Bills are right in there for the 1 seed in the AFC, and they are ending the season after the Rams game. Now they've got the Lions, but then it's Patriots, Jets, Patriots.
Bills play the Lions?
The Bills play the Lions next week. What a fucking fantastic game.
That's the game of the year.
Game of the year. So fun. Awesome. But then, so they could, and they beat the Chiefs. So they could be the number 1 seed. They have to win every game. They have to win every game until they overtake the Chiefs, right? They can't take the foot off the gas. They need this game. I like the Bills here. You go ahead and give me the Bills for 3 stars.
The Bills.
Bills for 3, buddy.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Bam. Hell yeah.
Bills -4. All right. We got 2 left.
Let's do it.
Next one's a good one.
Yes.
Chargers
Yes.
at the Chiefs. I have the Chefs by 3.
And I've got the Chiefs by 5, given 5, and no
Ooh.
more big spreads for the Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring them all
It
down.
is 4, so we tie.
Let's split it down the middle.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess if you average out our guesses, it is a very fair line.
Agreed.
I get it.
Yep.
I'm absolutely going Chargers here for
Love that pick.
like this is a 3
Love that
star
pick.
for me.
Yep. Love that pick. I think this is a great place for the Chargers. The Chiefs have inexplicably won almost every game. They just have gotten all of the luck, all of the bounces, and say what you want about Jim Harbaugh. That defense is good. The Chiefs' offense has been not so good, at least comparatively speaking, to previous years. Yeah, man, I like the Chargers here.
Yeah, lots of reasons to like the Chargers. Okay, so about, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, maybe more like 8 or 9 weeks ago, Chargers hosted the Chiefs. Herbert was banged up. I think maybe he played.
He started the season banged up, but yeah.
He played that game. I don't know if I have to look back, but the Chargers were very banged up that
Yeah.
game. They were in it for much of the game, and they ended up losing by like 3 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
So they've already played them tough. Now they seem, well, Dobbins is hurt, but he was kind of splitting time with Gus Edwards a little bit anyway. Like, I don't know that it's really that much of a downgrade with Edwards. So you got the Chiefs, who don't blow anyone out. It's a division game. The Chargers have already played them tough once.
Yep.
The Chargers need it more
Yep.
as far as like, if they win, they're 9-3, and if the Chiefs lose, they're 10-2. Now you're 1 game out from winning the division, and you're probably saying, "Hey, let's see if we can win the rest of our games. We could still get the 1 seed too." So
Yeah.
I mean, Harbaugh is a really good coach.
Yep.
Or it can just be a ton in these division games, and I'd have to look this up to be sure, but I'm pretty sure Herbert, like Josh Allen, has beaten Mahomes quite a bit in the regular season. He's maybe 500 against him.
Yes.
Herbert also has beaten, I think, Mahomes a decent amount in the regular season. Well, obviously the regular season, the Chargers haven't made the playoffs too much, but 4 is just too much. I'm going Chargers for 3 stars.
I like that pick. I like it. I like the Chargers here. Everything you said makes sense to me.
Okay. We got 1 left, and it is another toilet bowl.
Ooh,
The poor
tinky,
Bengals.
Tinky.
Bengals score 30 every week, and they lose every week.
They do. It's crazy. I mean, the number of games that they've scored plus 30 points, and I should probably just look this up, and lost is got to be ridiculous. I'm going to take it. I'm going to look right now.
He's going to look at that, and I'm going to tell you who they're playing. Bengals, Cowboys, skeet in the toilet bowl. the Cowboys have still only have 6 losses. I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to make the playoffs, but weirder things have probably happened. So where are we at?
4 times they've scored more than 30 points and lost the game this season.
Someone was saying on the radio, like, how does Lou Anarumo still have a job?
Great question. Past performance.
He was really good for a few years. I don't
Past
know what
performance.
the problem is there. I know they had some injuries earlier in the season, but who knows? I'm going Bengals by 2.
I went Cowboys by 3. I'm not sure why. So
I get it.
We're gonna tie this week.
And we were both way off. This is
No.
just the same as the Saints game.
Yeah.
I went Bengals and Saints by a couple. He
Mhm.
went the other way, and it is the road team by much more. It's
5.
Bengals by 5.5. Like, how? Why is this 5.5? I mean, what? So the Cowboys beat the Giants. The Giants are terrible. Okay,
Mhm.
and then the week was the week before the battle for Texas against the Texans.
No, that was the week before Thanksgiving, and they got their asses kicked, 34-10.
So who did the Cowboys? What's
They
their
beat
last?
they beat the Giants and they beat Washington. That was the game.
Oh yeah,
they beat Washington.
Yeah,
By
that was
8
just-
points.
I mean, that beating Washington had to be just like a fluke. I didn't really watch it. I do not understand why the Bengals are 5.5. I have no opinion on this one. I do get that once we tie
Tie the week.
5-5 with 3 ties.
I mean, maybe it's because the Cowboys have only scored more than 30 points twice this season. Maybe that's why the spread is so big. I really wanted to take the Bengals here, but the spread is too big. I almost want to go Cowboys. But I think the Cowboys are turgid, so no.
Yeah,
Turgid's
this
probably
is
not the correct word, but
I usually like a home dog, but when the spread is so much off, like I'm so off, there's got to be some that almost seems like a major injury or something to me. But
well, I mean, Dak is out, right? So it's still, is it Cooper Rush who's QB?
yeah, but he's been playing pretty much just as good.
Yes, I get. Well, the question is, the Bengals can probably score 30. Can the Cowboys? And I mean, at least history for this season says no.
Yeah. Well, unless you look at teams scoring 30 against the Bengals.
Well, that's fair. Let's look at that. It's just real quick.
But man, Monday night, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Cowboys have played better lately, and the Bengals are fun to watch because they score a lot of points. So it could be entertaining, but
yeah, I don't know. That's fair. I mean, there is a few 30-pointers against 30 burgers against the Bengals. Their defense is bad. Poor Joe Burrow, the best quarterback on the worst team ever, maybe.
Yeah.
Like a great quarterback.
All right, let's run back through the picks.
Let's do it.
I have the Packers tonight, plus 3.5 for 2 stars. We are opposite on the Browns Steelers. Josh has the Browns plus 6.5 for 1 star, and I'm on the Steelers for 1 star. So Josh has the Panthers plus 12.5 at the Eagles for 2 stars. I have the Cardinals for 2 stars, minus 2.5 against the Seahawks. I also have the Bears for 1 star, plus 4 at the Niners. And Josh has the Bills 3-banger, minus 4 at the Rams. And then I have the Chargers as my 3-star pick of the week, plus 4. It's too much. It's a division game. Both teams' names start with the CH, so followed by a vowel. So it's going to be a good game because of that. That's the end of the picks. That's the end of the show. Go Vikings!
Go Bears!